Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inspirations. Thank you for joining me today. This is my first week of the Stamp Happy Holidays series for 2022. And what that means is on Tuesdays and Fridays, I will be presenting projects that are appropriate for fall and winter holidays and especially for Christmas. Now, Tuesday's presentation will be strictly a blog post and it will cover a myriad of occasions and holidays. On Friday, I will do a blog post plus a video, and it will focus strictly on Christmas. So today, these two cards I made using the Trees for Sale stamp set. That is from Stampin' Up in their current mini catalog, the July through December 2022 mini catalog. And I also used the coordinating dies. They are called the Tree Lot dies, and they were a selection that you could get for free during celebration in July and August. And unfortunately, this die set is no longer available. It was very popular and many people chose it as their free celebration selection. However, today's cards, although they were made with that certain stamp set and die set, you can use most any stamp set and dies that you have to create a similar card or to create cards using the techniques I'm going to talk about today. So as you can see, this card, it's basically all just stamping. I just stamped everything. The only thing I did was the Trees for Sale sign. I stamped and I fussy cut. I did not use a die for that, and I put it on dimensionals. The rest of the dimension on this card is created through masking as I stamped and through placement of certain objects, such as the lights. Now, this card, which as you can see, it's quite similar to this one, but I've die cut the poles and the trees and the tree stand, the sign, the lights. It's all die cut. Even these trees I die cut. So both cards do have some dimension. We just got it different ways. So we'll walk through how I made these, and I just do want to mention that in the description of this video, you will find a link to my corresponding blog post, and there you will find the measurements and supply list and more information on these cards and the products I've used. So let's start with stamping and masking. That's what I did with this card. And the first thing I did was I created a mask using some masking paper. Now, masking paper, you may not be familiar with it, but it's really great. And I thought I had a little piece here, but apparently I do not. We'll just open this up. This is a Stampin' Up stamp case. You can buy them, just the cases. They're in the catalog and at the online store. And that's what I use to store my masking paper. And as you can see, it's 5 by 7. It's just slick. It's kind of like a big sticky note. And the whole back side is sticky. This one, as you can see, I've used a bit of it. But see, it peels away. And you will, this peel away side is pretty slick. So you stamp on this side, and then you just cut out your image, and then use it at, peel the backing off and use it as a mask. So I do have two that I've already stamped, cut out, and I have used them. And I have been able to use the same mask 3 or 4 times with the masking paper. But if you don't have masking paper, you can use a sticky note, or some really thin paper, like sticky note paper, or maybe some thin copy paper, and use some temporary adhesive on the back. That will work also. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to get what we need to make this card. And we're going to need This is a Real Red card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, scored and then folded at 4 1/4. And then this is a piece of basic white cardstock that is 3 3/4 by 5, and I have already stamped some little Christmas lights and a Merry Christmas. That goes on the inside. And we're going to need some craft paper, which Stampin' Up! Has it. It comes in 6 by 6 sheets. And this measures 4 by 5 1/4. And then this piece measures, I need to think about this, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 square. And this piece is for our stamping. Right here, it's 3.5 by 3.5. And this is 3/4 long by 1 inch. And this is, however wide I said that was, 3.5 by 3/4 of an inch. And then a piece of Real Red ribbon. And I think this was maybe 10 inches. And we will trim these ends a little bit. Make a little bow to put up here. So we'll do some stamping first of all. And then we'll put this all together later on. The first thing I stamped on this card, I used some crumb cake. And I stamped these poles right here. And what I found, I have it all mounted here on my block. The best thing to do is to stamp one pole. You can do either side you want, doesn't matter. And then before we stamp the other one, to stamp some lights. And I used the smoky slate for the lights. And now we'll go back and stamp our other pole. And now we'll stamp another string of lights. There we go. Just leave that right there for now. Then we'll get our garden green, stamp the trees, and I stamped this one first. So I inked my stamp and then I stamped off, and I stamped that tree. And I've got a feeling I should have stamped it over a little because I'm going to run out of room. But we'll see what happens. We'll stamp this one right here. It didn't stamp all that great, did it? See if I can actually... There we go. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to mask these. So you just line your mask up. When you cut these out, cut right on the stamped line. No need to leave a border around it because you want it to fit over your stamp really well. Then we'll do this one. I seem to have a little rip here. There we go. And now we'll ink this stamp up again with the garden green. We'll stamp a tree right here. There we go. And then we'll stamp another one right over here. And I did not, as you notice, I did not stamp off on those. And now I usually use my take your pick tool to pull this off. To kind of get under there and real nice and slowly lift it up and off. And we'll get this one. Oh, you know what? I don't want to unmask those quite yet. I forgot we need to add the detail. Get the detail stamp. Just put the detail on the second one there, and then this one on this end. Now we take off the mask. And we can add the detail to these trees. There are the trees. They're all finished. Now we'll do the little tree stands in the crumb cake. Then there's one more. There's the tree stands. Let's see, we need to do our sign. Some real red. I have some masking paper on me there. Get the scissors. These paper snips are really good for fussy cutting. And this little sign is very easy to fussy cut. Nice straight lines. And I see I forgot to get some dimensionals. That's okay, we'll figure it out. Almost finished fussy cutting the sign. Okay, and there we go. We can use, I used some Stampin' Blends for the lights. We'll start with some real red. And I just used the dark. The Stampin' Blends, they come in, the colors have a light color and a dark version. And I just used the dark for these. Then we use the Daffodil Delight. And this is the Parakeet Party Dark. That's one of the new in colors for 2022 through 2024. And then the last bit of stamping we would need to do is our greeting. And that's this little piece of white paper back here. And I used, from the stamp set, I used the You Light Up the Season. So we will get that in the garden green ink again. And there we go. And then all it's left to do is assemble this card and it will be finished. And let me just step away real quick to get a dimensional there. Okay, got those. There we go. So we will turn this over, get a Stampin' Seal. Our other card pieces here. So line that one up. Get the dimensional. Trees for sale. Then we'll get our card base. I am really have a mess here, don't I? All these stamps. Put the inside. Have our greeting ready. Put our craft paper on. I really like craft paper. I missed it from Stampin' Up, and they brought it back last Christmas time, and then it carried over to the annual catalog, so I was really happy about that. I like to use a little craft paper every once in a while. There we go. And is my stamping area always this messy? Yes. I tend to have stuff piled all around me. Seems to be how I can work best. Just line this up. And then we're going to take a glue dot. There we go. Put it on the back of our ribbon. Put our ribbon up here. And we'll trim these ends a little bit. And I will confess, this ribbon is retired. It is the Real Red faux linen ribbon. Right now in the Stampin' Up! Mini catalog, there is a combo pack of Real Red ribbon and Garden Green. I thought I'd ordered it, but I didn't. So I made do. That ribbon in the catalog is also 3/8 of an inch, and that's what that is. So there we have this version of the card where we have achieved a little depth and dimension by masking. So see, our trees look like they're behind the other ones. And then we've put our lights at different angles, so it kind of gives a little more dimension. And of course, using the dimensional for the sign gave a little more, as did the ribbon and the layers. So there's that card. Now we'll bring in our one that we die cut. And I will show you the pieces that I die cut, but putting it together is exactly the same idea as this. Just cut out 2 of the lights, and of course 2 of the poles. Now I stamped the lights and die cut them, but the poles I just cut them out of crumb cake. And then of course one of the trees for sale, and die cut it, and then the 4 trees, and all this, these things here, the lights, the trees, the sign. Of course you're going to stamp on basic white cardstock and then die cut them. But I stamped the little tree stands. They're so teeny tiny, but I stamped them on crumb cake with crumb cake ink. And then these trees, of course, I stamped on white cardstock, and I did them just in the same manner I did these, by inking my stamp, stamping off, and stamping for 2 of them. And then just full strength ink on these 2 and on the detail. And then, like I say, all you have to do is put it together in the same kind of design. And again, we have the same greeting. You light up the season, and it's identical inside to the one that we just made. The only difference here is the die cutting. And like I said, that just adds a little extra dimension. So it's up to you how you do your cards, how you get your dimension on your cards. You can do it by masking and, doing what I call overstamping, or you can do it by die cuts. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to bringing you some new cards and new card ideas every Tuesday and Friday, now through December 16th, in my Stamp Happy holiday card series. Until next time, stamp happy.